Mega Man 3 is an interesting game to talk about. It wasn't finished, and to my knowledge it didn't have a great development, but it still turned out good, and in a few areas it's even better than Mega Man 2. What exactly is so good about this game is what I'd like to spend the next few minutes talking about. Before we get started though, I'd like to show you this graph showing how many of my viewers are subscribed. It's looking a little skewed to one side, right? So if you could scroll down and subscribe, that'd be great. It gets my videos out there to more people, and it motivates me to create more videos. Let's start with the story. About a year after Mega Man 2, Dr. Wily approaches Dr. Light and claims that he's learned the errors of his ways and wants to start creating robots for good instead of evil. The two doctors work together to create 8 Robot Masters, but after all the robots are complete, Wily reveals that he was lying all this time and that he's ready to use these robots to take over the world one more time. This time, however, he doesn't just have the 8 Robot Masters. He also has 2 other robots, the 8 Dark Robots, which copy the abilities of the Mega Man 2 Robot Masters, and a red robot known as Breakman. Now, Mega Man has gone off to take down these robots and defeat Dr. Wily. Graphically, this game looks even better than Mega Man 2, and that game was already an improvement over Mega Man 1, but this game looks even greater. Look at Topsman stage, for example. Look at all the grass behind that glass, or Gemini Man stage with all the colors all around and the orbs. They don't have an actual name even on the wiki, so I'll just call them orbs. Regardless, this game looks a lot better than Mega Man 2, and I've got to give it props for that. The game introduces Rush, Mega Man's pet dog. He doesn't do anything in the story, but he's mainly a gameplay mechanic. You see, instead of getting items like in Mega Man 2, now Rush transforms into different things for platforming use. In Rush Coil, Rush turns into a spring that Mega Man can jump on. In Rush Jet, Rush turns into a jet that Mega Man can ride on. And in Rush Marine, Rush turns into a submarine that Mega Man can drive in. The weakness chain is something that makes Mega Man unique, and unfortunately it's just been getting worse with each game. It was actually pretty good in Mega Man 1, as it has a rock paper scissors progression that everyone knows it for, but in Mega Man 2 this just evolved into a straight line. Metal Man wasn't weak to anything besides his own weapon, so the weakness chain starts with him and only him. In Mega Man 3, this is fixed, but a new problem arises. You've got the rock paper scissors style, but you now have 3 different weakness chains. One for 5 of the Robot Masters, one for the remaining 3, and another set for the Dark Robot rematches. Why? What's the point of creating 3 weakness chains for the players to memorize?
You know the Dark Robots have 2 weaknesses, right?
Wait, what? Okay, that was something I did not know. Looking it up on the wiki, yeah, each boss has 2 weaknesses. That does alleviate this somewhat, because imagine that you don't know the weakness of a boss you're about to fight. Instead of having only a 12% chance of getting the weakness right, you instead had a 25% chance of guessing the weakness right. Another great thing is that both weaknesses will kill Dark Robot in 7 hits. But still, it's just needlessly complicated having more than one weakness chain. Speaking of weaknesses, how about the bosses? Well, I'm glad to say that they've improved a lot. In Mega Man 1 and 2, bosses were either really hard without their weakness or a total pushover with their weaknesses. Bosses who were actually fair to either you or them were the exception rather than the norm. That's been fixed this time around. I can't think of a boss who either curb stomped me or whom I curb stomped. These bosses were actually fun to fight and took more skill than any of the Robot Masters in Mega Man 2. The bosses have improved, so how about the weapons? I'd say these were improved as well. In Mega Man 1, only 2 of them had any real use, and you'd never use Firestorm anyway because Thunder Beam was so good. In Mega Man 2, we had some more useful weapons, but you would still only use the Metal Blade. Here, I can't really say that. Spark Shock, Needle Cannon, Shadow Blade, these weapons are pretty useful. They're just as good as the Mega Buster, and in some cases even better. Spark Shock and Needle Cannon have bigger hitboxes than the Mega Buster, and the Shadow Blade can be fired in 5 different directions: left, right, up left, and up. Some others, like Magnet Missile and Hard Knuckle, are a bit more situational, but I found myself using them more than I did something like Super Arm or Atomic Fire. However, Topspin, Search Snake, and Gemini Laser are pretty useless. For Topspin, Mega Man himself is the attack, so you've gotta risk getting hit by the enemy if you want to actually use it. Search Snake is similar to Bubble Lead in that it stays on the ground and is affected by gravity. Gemini Laser is pretty worthless though. I've never used it in my regular playthrough. It's similar to the Mega Buster, but it bounces off walls. Sounds cool, but there is literally no situation in the whole game that makes use of this. What's worse is that you can only fire one laser at a time, so if you miss, you gotta wait around for the laser to bounce around, then disappear, and then you can fire another one to try again. Or hope that your enemy will run into the laser as it bounces. The level design in this game is pretty good, and there isn't a single stage here that I dislike or dread playing. Top Man stage has a few spinning platforms that are kinda neat. Shadow Man stage has a cool gimmick where the entire stage is engulfed in darkness and you can't see anything besides Mega Man and the enemies, so you gotta tiptoe around and be extra careful. When you revisit the stage, the red platforms are split into two, and you'll fall right through them. The trick is to jump off them as soon as possible so you don't fall, or if you're a pro gamer, you can land on them, jump so you don't fall through, then jump back on them again. Needleman stage takes advantage of the slide maneuver, a new technique Mega Man has in this game that I haven't talked about yet. Basically, by holding down and jump, kinda like a spin dash, Mega Man will slide forward. He moves a lot faster and his hitbox becomes smaller, but he can't fire while sliding, and I'm not even sure he can jump. And Magnet Man has the Vanish blocks, and I really like what they did with them here. You see, in one of the Vanish block sections, the game successfully tricked me into landing on the wrong block, so that when I jumped onto the next one, I'd never make it. The trick was that I wasn't supposed to jump onto that block at all, and instead I needed to stay on the block I was already on. Could I get mad at the game for tricking me like this? Sure, I could, but it'd say more about me being gullible than the game being poorly designed. Once you beat the 8 Robot Masters, instead of going straight to the castle stages, you instead revisit 4 stages, but with a twist. These revisited stages are harder than they were originally, and these stages contain 2 bosses. In the middle of the stage, you face off against one of the Doc robots, and he copies the abilities of a Mega Man 2 boss. The same thing happens again at the end of the stage. To be honest, I'm pretty mixed about these stage revisits. On one hand, I really like these harder stages, as they're more interesting than the original stages, and it makes the game a lot longer without feeling like needless filler. On the other hand, I really hate these Doc Robot bosses. Reusing boss abilities and AIs is pretty lazy, and I don't really like it. It also sucks that these bosses hit like a truck. If Doc Robot hits you around 4 times, you're dead. So yeah, I don't really know how to feel about these stages. Gotta say though, Bubble Man's fight is pretty funny if you know how to exploit his AI. Basically, when Bubble Man jumps, he'll start attacking again once he lands. However, if you're in the air when he lands, he won't attack, and he will never attack if you never hit the ground. Before I get into the castle stages, I want to talk about this game's soundtrack. While both of the previous games had some good songs, I think this game has the best soundtrack so far. Listen to something like Needleman stage or Magnet Man stage. There are a ton more great songs with this, but I think my favorite would have to be Breakman's theme. Yeah, it's short and simple, but a high-pitched whistle like that, I don't really know how to explain it, it just hits a spot that I don't think any other songs have. The only thing that comes close off the top of my head would be like Roxas's theme or Beneath the Mask. That's about it. Anyways, after you defeat the Doc Robot, it's time for the castle stages. These are probably my favorite stages in the whole game. The first castle has an underwater segment, and you use hard knuckle to break walls and access special items. You can even get an E-tank, how generous. Oh yeah, I don't think I've explained what those are. They were added back in Mega Man 2, and you could pick up a max of 4. When you used one, all of your health will be refilled. In Mega Man 3, they serve the same purpose, but you can now carry a maximum of 9. The Vanish blocks also make an appearance here, and if you take the more dangerous route, you can get 2 big energy refills. The boss of the stage is the Kamagoro Maker. This machine releases turtles called Kamagoro, and you gotta take them down. You've also gotta contend with the water making you jump really high, and the wind pushing you. The second stage makes use of the red platform seen in Doc Robot's version of Shadow Man's stage. You then contend with bees around you while standing on platforms that attack you. So you've gotta move quickly while also getting rid of the bees. Then, there's a segment that utilizes Rush Jet while also giving you some item pickups. The boss of this stage is the Yellow Devil Mark II. He's similar to the first Yellow Devil, but he's a bit fairer since he actually takes decent damage from his weakness. Eventually though, his entire body turns into cubes all at once and they bounce around to the other side of the screen. I don't think there's any good way to dodge this, so you just have to tank the damage. The third stage has more ladder climbing and using hard knuckle to get rid of walls. Then the shadow gimmick from Shadow Man stage comes back, but there's a lot more of it here. You can also see a few pickups you can get, and you've got to pay real close attention to see how to get them. Then there's a segment where the platforms you need to jump on are moving, and that's kinda cool. Then, the boss is the Hologram Robot. It's kinda like Copy Robot, except there are 3 of them now, and they always use the Mega Buster even if you picked another weapon. Attack the middle one and they die pretty easily. The fourth stage starts with a bunch of item pickups, and there's a green question mark can. Basically, this can will drop a few things based on when you hit it. Energy pickups and weapon pickups, both big and small, 1-ups and E-tanks can be picked up from this can. It's a short stage, and it turns out that it's the boss rush stage. I forgot to record these refights, so enjoy some footage of whatever I decide to put here in editing. Nothing is different about these refights compared to the original fight, so let's move on. Stage 5 is a tiny stage. It has a few item pickups, and it ends with a fight against Wily Machine 3. It's a pretty difficult and fun fight, and at the end, it turns out that the Wily in that machine was a robot fake. Stage 6 is the true final stage, and it's a fight against Gamma, the big robot that Wily and Light built prior to the game. It's a pretty easy fight in all honesty. Once the fight ends, debris starts falling from the ceiling and both Wily and Mega Man are trapped beneath it. Breakman arrives and saves Mega Man while presuming that Wily's dead. Mega Man is brought back to Light's lab and the credits begin playing. We see the serial numbers of the Mega Man Robot Masters, the one for Rock and Roll, and we learn that Breakman wasn't just an agent of Wily's this time, but Mega Man's older brother, Proto Man. Proto Man was a prototype Robot Master, hence his name, but he had a faulty power core and he'd eventually stop functioning. Light planned to repair Proto Man, but he was afraid that he'd lose his memories if his core was tampered with, so he fled. A short while before Proto Man died due to his power core, Wily found him and repaired his solar core to a nuclear one, as well as modifying him into a combat robot. He also changed his design to make him unrecognizable to Light. At the end of the game, he sheds his Breakman persona and goes back to Proto Man. And that ends Mega Man 3. Overall, I like this game and think it's better than Mega Man 1 and 2. It's longer, harder, and the weapons are actually useful without being overpowered, the bosses are an actual challenge, and it introduces my favorite classic character, Proto Man. Even though it was unfinished, it's still a great game. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, leave a like. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe. Leave a comment telling me what you thought about this game. Maybe it's another game I could cover, or what I could do better in a future video.